Guns. You've got 'em, and Grabby Abby Spanberger wants 'em, and she's willing to shred the Second Amendment to get them. I'm Terry Christoph. This is Smart Girl Politics. Welcome back to Smart Girl Politics, everybody, and welcome to all of my new subscribers. You all are amazing, especially my fellow Virginians who are out there hungry for some information on what's going on here in our beautiful Commonwealth under our dreadful new governor, Abigail Spanberger. So welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Let's make this a thing. Let's grow it. Let's get the information out there because this girl's got some big ambitions. Not me. Well, I do have big ambitions. But we're talking Grabby Abby Spanberger. She's got her eye on the White House or the Senate. We'll see where it goes, but I think it's the White House right now. We need to share a little bit about her. We need to spread the word about Abigail Spanberger because as we know from our last video about her poll numbers are in the toilet for someone who's been governor for barely 3 months at this point. So she's gone wrong somewhere, and one of the big issues is guns, and that's what we're talking about today because she's got a big piece of legislation awaiting her signature today, Monday, April 13th, and she signed some on Friday that aren't so great. Let us dive into this. Abigail Spanberger is sitting in the governor's mansion right now in Richmond, right now, with an assault weapons bill on her desk that would ban the purchase, sale, manufacture, transfer, and importing of certain assault firearms. As of today, April 13th, that piece of legislation is sitting on her desk, awaiting signature. She has until 11:59 p.m. tonight to sign it. We'll get into a little bit more about what happens, what might not happen if she doesn't sign it. There are some options here. The bill is rightfully getting a lot of attention because it's an egregious violation of the constitutional rights of we Virginians to keep and bear our arms. But Spanberger got a jump start on her gun grab. Grabby Abby got started last Friday when she signed multiple firearm-related measures into law, including a ghost gun ban, a bill expanding civil liability for firearm industry members, and legislation her office said was meant to prevent gun violence. Not by the criminals, of course. These new laws are to affect the law-abiding citizens. The criminals are free to do what they want. Let's talk about that ghost gun ban. I have a video that I want to share with you.
She has now signed into law the statute that's been known as HB 40. And this law is essentially a ban on building, importing, selling, transferring, or possessing an unserialized firearm, including sort of an unassembled, bit of parts that can make up a firearm. These are so-called ghost guns. Relatedly, she is claiming that part of this law is to ban plastic guns that are undetectable by metal detectors, but that's a fantasy law that has frankly been illegal. HB 40 specifically targets not just these plastic guns that don't exist, and it's a fantasy law, but it also targets ghost guns, which again is ordinary Americans in Virginia who have made or will make or want to make their own privately owned firearms. She is now insisting that you can do that, but you must take your arm to an FFL and get its serial number put on it so it can be put into a government database through the FFL form, and therefore they will know who has the guns. It would be illegal and a crime, in fact, for you to possess an unserialized frame, unserialized receiver, unserialized firearm that has not been registered with an FFL in Virginia. That's exactly right. That's what HB 40 stands. If you want to build your own gun for fun, but you're not looking to sell it or anything, then it seems like you have a constitutional right to do so, and there's no historical tradition of firearms regulation that would compel you to get that serialized and then registered with your local federal firearms licensee on his books or her books, which in turn can be reviewed by the ATF, i.e. the federal government, or presumably by Virginia State Police. I suspect that is buried in one of these laws that allows the police departments of Virginia to be able to look at the books of FFLs to ensure compliance with HB 40.
So, if you are one of what I would assume is legions of Virginians who enjoy assembling your own guns, you better put the serial number on it and get it all licensed up because otherwise, expect that knock on the door. Now, if you're a less law-abiding citizen, do what you want. Abby will be cheering you on. That was one of the laws she signed on Friday, but there were several more that we want to just briefly go over, just to give an idea. The gun grab has begun. Grabby Abby is already at it. She'll take this one, she'll take that, she'll take yours, she'll take mine, she'll take everybody's. So let's take a look at this tweet that lays it out beautifully. The Virginia governor signed a few gun-related bills just now, but so far no update on the assault weapons. That's the big one. Again, we're waiting for it Monday the 13th. She signed one bill. It says HB 19, closing the intimate partner loophole by prohibiting intimate partners convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence crimes from possessing a firearm. HB 93, specifying that a person subject to a protective order or convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence crimes who is prohibited by law from possessing a firearm may transfer their firearm to a person who is not prohibited by law from possessing a firearm, who is 21 years of age or older, and who does not live in their home. There's the ghost gun ban, and then there's this other one, HB 21, allowing firearm manufacturers and dealers to be held legally accountable when negligent business practices contribute to gun violence. So that's a way that the responsibility for any crimes committed with a gun is going to shift from the criminal to the gun manufacturer. The criminal doesn't have any money. The gun manufacturer does. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go after them instead of the criminals. And we know this. We know Virginia is not exactly crazy about getting all the bad guys put into jail. They kind of like them out on the streets, because they create chaos, and chaos means a power grab is available. Spanberger's anti-Second Amendment record goes back years. While in Congress, and a reminder, her congressional career lined up pretty closely with Joe Biden's presidency, and she was a rubber stamp of Joe Biden. So when we hear that crazy talk of her being a moderate Democrat, and again, there are none, it's a lie. So while in Congress, she supported universal background check legislation through H.R. 8, one of the left's favorite vehicles for expanding federal control over private firearms transfers. And it didn't stop there. She also backed the federal assault weapons ban push. Spanberger co-sponsored and voted for H.R. 1808 in 2022, legislation aimed at banning a broad category of commonly owned semi-automatic firearms. That is not some minor tweak around the edges. That is a direct shot at the rights of lawful gun owners. They're the bad guys. If you are a lawful gun owner, you are the bad guy. If you're the actual bad guy, you're a good guy to Grabby Abby. She's also been praised by national control groups for supporting red flag laws, closing what they call loopholes, and pushing the broader gun control agenda in D.C. Everytown, the very liberal group Everytown, even highlighted her as a former Moms Demand Action volunteer. She's just a mom, guys. She's just a mom. That tells you a lot about what her instincts are and who she sees as her allies. And Mom Demand Action, not a great group. I'll have to maybe go into what they did here in Loudoun County in a future episode, because not the best people ever. So what's going on with this assault weapons ban? Let's go over to our friend Cam Edwards at Bearing Arms. Now, Cameron is going to be my guest on our next episode. I want to dive in more deeply into what's going on here with the gun grab, because it's Virginia. I've lived here a long time. Maybe the liberals in this deep blue area where I am in Northern Virginia are guns, but true Virginians are not. They want their guns. They like their guns. They want to keep their guns, and the Democrats want to take them. So this is Cam Edwards over at bearingarms.com. Cam says, my guess is that Spanberger does end up signing the gun and magazine ban, because we know that she likes this stuff, though it's possible that she'll veto the bills with a message to Democrat lawmakers that she wants to see a few adjustments. Doing so would allow her to keep a gun ban out of the news ahead of the April 21st vote on approving gerrymandered maps that are designed to give Democrats a 10-1 advantage in the state's congressional delegation. And with bigger opposition to the referendum than what Democrats were expecting, it's not inconceivable that Spanberger would take that step in the hopes of tamping down voter enthusiasm among opponents of the gerrymandering plan, or at least not give them another reason to turn out in force on Election Day. So Election Day for this referendum is April 21st. We'll be talking about gerrymandering later in the week. It's pretty clear that Abigail Spanberger wants your guns. She wants to take as many of them as she can while she's here. But she does have this April 21st deadline looming. And as Cam points out, it does seem that there's a pretty good vote no group coalescing in Virginia. And the Democrats, it might not go the way that they were thinking it was going to go. And she doesn't want to give a reason for people to be even more angry. So I think what Cam's saying, she might kick the can down the road, suggest some amendments to the bill. That way she gets out of signing it tonight. Now, if she doesn't sign it, it can still go into law. So basically the options are she vetoes it, which she's not going to do. She signs it. Does she have the cojones to do it? We'll see. She suggests amendments, in which case she kicks the can down the road. Or she doesn't sign it and it becomes law anyway. So we'll see which avenue she goes on that one. Now, Donald Trump's Department of Justice sent a warning signal to Ms. Spanberger about her continued desire to grab Virginians' guns. So this is the good news. I don't want to leave it on like a bad news, like it's all bad news. They'll take this one, they'll take their guns, gun, here, give me your guns, take the guns. There is some good news. And the really good news is that Harmy Dylan, who is the Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Civil Rights Division, she sent out a warning to Abigail Spanberger about trampling on the constitutional rights of Virginians. So why don't we listen to Harmy?
Harmy Dylan, the head of the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice, has just fired off a major letter threatening lawsuits and injunctive relief in favor of American gun owners in the state of Virginia if Governor Spanberger pushes forward with her gun control push, because to do so would violate the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. To begin with, here is the posts that Harmy Dylan, as the head of the Civil Rights Division at the DOJ, said specifically to Governor Spanberger. Check out the posts. Harmy Dylan says, on notice, Virginia residents are Americans with constitutionally guaranteed rights this Department of Justice will enforce. She reposted something she had earlier said to Governor Spanberger, that Governor Spanberger is on notice. Second Amendment rights shall not be infringed. We are watching closely. In the event any unlawful legislation is enacted, we will sue. That's the Civil Rights Department of the Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. The Civil Rights Division will protect the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens in Virginia. 2A section lawyers are standing by.
All right, I'll try to remember to put a link into Harmeet's tweet because she includes the letter. We're not going to go into that yet because no action's been taken by the DOJ other than to say, and that's not nothing, that they have the backs of Virginians who are deeply and quite understandably concerned about this gun grab. It's Virginia Democrats led by Abigail Spanberger who want to take the guns. So we leave with a little good news. Harmeet's got your back. The Trump administration's got your back. The DOJ has got your back. I've got your back. I'm going to keep talking about it. You guys are putting some trust into me by responding so well to that video. I'll put a link to the one that I did. It's a deep dive onto why Abigail Spanberger is so unpopular in her state so soon after taking office. So I got your back. We're going to keep talking about it. They're not going to shut me up. As long as we can keep talking about it, we will. Again, Cameron Edwards from Bearing Arms is going to be my guest tomorrow. We're going to go a little bit more into the weeds about this and talk about that insane post that the Virginia State Police put up about confiscating guns. You're not going to want to miss it. Again, thank you all so much for being here. We're going to keep this conversation going. We're going to build a community of Virginians who are ticked off about what's happening. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to work together. You are not alone. I'm here for you. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, suggestions on what we need to be covering here at Smart Girl Politics. I'm happy to do it. I'm a longtime Virginian. I'm really ticked off. I've been here way longer than Abigail Spanberger, and the nerve of this chick to come in here and do what she's doing to good law-abiding citizens. We're not going to stand for it here. I'm not going to stand for it. I got your back. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things you can so that we can get this out to more Virginians who might feel alone. Anyway, thank you guys. You are the best. I will see you tomorrow, Tuesday. Take care. Be safe. I will see you soon.